So,
Hey.
welcome, Christa. We are so happy you're here. I am very privileged to have you as my first guest. Honestly, when God dropped this in my spirit, it was like, Christa, instantly. You were the person that, he said, we got to get this ball rolling and definitely bring on Christa. Having the privilege of spending time with you in your programs really helped me see how, we can do this. We can actually do the thing that we're called to do and address those obstacles that come up and have some strategies around it. And so that's really what I wanted to continue to share with other people is that not only do you have a purpose, but part of that purpose includes keeping the momentum and to keep going and to keep moving forward when things come up that might seemingly derail you. So this is Christa. She's just a little look, just a little bit about Christa. She has been a promotional model and brand ambassador, a legislative marketing and community engagement consultant, marketing communications lead, news producer, social media coordinator, social media analyst, project manager marketing, and so on and so on. You can also see that she is the mother of a beautiful baby girl. She's also a wife. So, Christa, share with us just a little bit more about you and what you do and how we're going to get into the questions on how you do the things that you do, but just more about you and what you do in your space.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. It's like, oh, I do
Yeah.
those things. Yes, so you summed up a lot of it. As you can see, I am a marketing, communications, and media professional consultant. I use my skills to serve organizations from Fortune 500 companies, all the way to emerging solopreneurs, entrepreneurs. I work with churches, I work with nonprofits, I work with government entities, I work with politicians. So just using both my natural skills as well as the things that I learned in school because I did actually study these things.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's really exciting, and it's also exciting because God is pushing me to grow, not just in doing that work, but also when it comes to how I show up to address the whole woman, and really how I can serve her through mindset and her spiritual growth and how she can show up to be the best for herself and also those that she loves. So I'm still working through what that looks like. But he, just told me to take the first step and then the rest will follow. So I am doing that. And with that, I know I will continue, as you mentioned, one of those programs which you were a part of is the Brand Blueprint Incubator. And that's really helping women of color, of faith who are building businesses around their purpose. And I'm just here to support and helping to teach you how to do that.
That's amazing. And I will say that being in that space, man, it was way more than I thought than I initially bargained for, right? I thought I would just learn of some, useful tips on how to brand, how to market, how to move things forward in the business. Really, it is a whole curriculum. So we we have testimonials for that that we could share and go on, but today I really want to jump into how we face those obstacles that we encounter and how we continue to walk in our purpose in spite of those obstacles. One of the things that I know, like you mentioned, which also kind of brought to my mind, this is why we're so aligned in this and why God dropped you in my spirit. Number one thing is mindset, right? Number one thing is, do you first of all feel or believe that you are enough and that you are able to do the work, and how you're going to be able to keep pushing through really depends on what your mindset is. And so that having a negative mindset is one of those roadblocks. Um, what started you on the journey toward accepting walking in your purpose? Like, what was really fully like, okay, this was what I recognize as my purpose, and I'm actually going to walk toward it, and I'm going to go into it. Oh, you're on mute.
Mhm. So it's a few things. Because it didn't just start. One of the things that really pushed me into this space was uh my father in church. So a couple of things happened the year before I really went into business, or really the year of kind of that I really made that decision. I was having a really hard time in life. I went from being a top performing employee at my 9 to 5 to we got a new a chief marketing officer, and I got a new director, and everything changed. All of a sudden I was no longer a top performer, and became a problem employee. All of a sudden my work wasn't good enough, my ideas weren't creative enough, and I was no longer a good fit for the company, which in truth I was not a good fit for the new, leader, which happens a lot. So I was not the only one who basically the entire marketing team that was there when I started is not there anymore. So it was a hard transition for all of us. Some people quit, others were demoted, others were let go. I was actually fired. And during this time, this was in 2018, in the beginning of that year, my father, it was like the entire year for our church centered around legacy and
Wow.
building legacy,
Mm-hmm.
growing legacy, and that we're created to have legacy. And that's what this life is all about. And that legacy isn't just about ourselves, it is so much bigger than us. It's about our families and the people who we are called to serve. And that our legacies aren't just meant for us to build a legacy under our own name, but to help to grow and inspire other legacies and other families. So during that time, my dad, the entire year, preached about that. And he really focused on the how God will give you a business, and the story of the widow, and how she would have to potentially sell her sons into slavery in order to pay off her husband's debts, and she was afraid she was going to lose her home and her family. And the Apostle Paul, right? He came and he told her what to do, go collect all the jars and pour the oil until you fill up the last one. And when she did what he told him to do. And she was able to not just keep her family and keep her home, but they were able to live on that for the rest of their lives. And in this world of go to school, get a job, we've gotten so far away from legacy and legacy building. And most of us are just helping others build their legacy for their families. And that's what we're taught to do. So that really started my mindset change towards how can I build a legacy for myself. And that was really important to me because did lose my mom at a young age. I lost my mom the year I graduated from grad school, and she had a 9 to 5 job, and they did honor her and they memorialized her. But when you go back to that job now, most people don't even know who she is. Like, her desk is no longer her desk. The memorial that they had up for her is gone. And I did not inherit anything from her job. She worked at the Department of Motor Vehicles, the DMV. And that really stuck with me. The things that I did inherit a lot of other things that aren't necessarily material. I did inherit materials as well, but just when she passed, I was not able to take on who and what she did for her whole life and carry that torch and have that. And that's something that I wanted to change for my family and change for my own daughter as well, and to be able to build something that when I'm gone, she can still have access to it and it's hers. So
Yeah.
I had started that mindset, and then all of the issues happened at work. And then it's funny because my father partnered me with like the most senior mother of the church to be my prayer partner during this time as well, while I was going through this hard time at work, not even realizing. She's a senior citizen. The work I was doing was social media. I ran all the social accounts for the company. And when I got fired, I went to her crying and telling her about that because she had been through that journey. We were praying together. And she said, "Why don't you start your own business?" I knew that was God because she didn't know what
Mm.
social media was. This lady didn't even have a cell phone. So, like,
Right.
no computer, no anything. So
Yeah.
I knew God was telling me to move forward that way. And that he'll use people who are
Hmm.
unlikely to really move you in the direction you need to go. Because if probably anyone else who knew what I was doing and really understood the industry or where it was going, because also social TikTok didn't exist, Reels didn't
Right.
exist. Like none
Right.
of the stuff that we see today existed. LinkedIn, everything's changed, and it is its own industry.
Hmm.
So that's what really led me into confidently moving forward and deciding to never go back to that 9 to
Yes.
5 and really build my business, build my brand, and build my legacy.
And in speaking of legacy, like I really love that you talk about how it's going to, this is the purpose is not just for you. It's not just for your immediate family, but it's really for building a legacy. It's for building for your children's children, and for building for to the community around you. One of the things that we experienced while we were in the program was your beautiful daughter Noella. And I remember that being kind of a topic of conversation is, okay, are we going to be okay with, do we feel some kind of way about Noella being a part of the meetings or a part of the, Zoom calls or whatever? And everyone really felt like it was important for her to be there to impart that to her. I remember as a child going to UC Berkeley's campus with my mom because she was in college. She was taking classes at the time. That stuck with me as an adult, that I actually had the environment of higher education and being on that college campus, and just the activism of UC Berkeley, just all of the things, right, that go along with UC Berkeley. And I thought about that with you and the legacy that you're building with Noella. She's at the table. These are not going to be foreign things to her. The things that you're talking about, the things that the people and the women in the community that you're building is not going to be foreign to her. So that's one less obstacle that she will have to encounter when she gets to the point of walking out her purpose. So I really love how you just described, really building that for her, including her, having her be a part of what you're doing, and always a part of, like front of mind with what you're doing. So that's great. So I appreciated the legacy part. When did you know that um well, you were called, you kind of answered this, when you knew you were called to something bigger? And what if it's more than one thing? I really want you to talk about how we can be multi-talented, multi-gifted. And because that's an obstacle within itself sometimes. People who are multi-passionate, multi-gifted, multi-talented may feel like they're going in circles and they're just stuck because they can't figure out, well, which one of these things am I supposed to be doing? Um, can you speak to that?
Absolutely. So I am one of those people.
Yes.
As people, and I've struggled with that. Also, do you mind? Can we pause the recording real quick? I want to grab her
Sure.
some Cheerios.
Okay.
Where's your milk go? Mhm.
And
Okay.
actually, you know what? With that story, about my mom taking me to school, I remember you sharing something about what your mom did with you. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. And it's funny because it's like both my mom and my dad. I'll start with my mom though. So my mom was a Mary Kay representative. So with that, it's all marketing, right? It's all
Mm.
branding, it's all promotion. So what she would do first, I was going to events with her, and then it turned into where she would sign up for Mary Kay events and drop me off at the door with all the stuff, and I had to take it in, set up the table, find the table, and then sell the products. And I was a teenager then. Like she was dropping me off at adult events, and I'd be the only child there, and not just the only child, but the only one selling on top of that. So I was doing that a lot, and that was promotional branding, that was marketing, that was, sales. And then when I go home with her, all of the cards that she get with people's information, I would have to do all of her data entry.
Oh,
So
wow.
I was again 15, 16, 17 years old working. And then with my
Wow,
father,
I love that.
as I mentioned, he's a pastor. So, and just in general with pastors, families, it's not just the minister, but so I've been in the ministry, of leading in the ministry since I was a child. I was the lead dancer in the dance ministry, and then I was the choreographer for the dance ministry. My father would choreograph and write music and do all of that too. And then I was teaching Bible study in Sunday school. I was like the lead soprano on the praise team. I would do a lot of the events for the church around for the children. So planning, marketing, execution of events, and then all of those things that I learned with and from my parents I was doing as a kid, I had no idea. Those are the things that I've done in both my professional career and 9 to 5, as well as my business.
Amazing. What I'm hearing is kind of a throwback to what you've done already. Part of recognizing, when say a negative mindset comes up and says that you can't do it, is remembering all the things that you did do. And I don't know at 15 if you had the wherewithal to know, hey, I am marketing and I am branding and I am selling, all of those things to really put that kind of language to it. But knowing that you did all of those things, starting kind of even like as a almost like an apprenticeship, right? Of going through doing learning the business, doing the selling, setting it up, marketing, networking with people, communicating with people. You were already in a space where there were people who had walked at least 10 to 20 steps ahead of you. And you were being cultivated in that space as a young person, right? So as you get older and you realize, hey, there are some things that I have done that are an indication that, yes, I can do this. It is part of my purpose. So that negative mindset is really just a lie. let's just call it what it is. It's just a lie.
That part, yes.
That
And so
part.
absolutely. And that is why it's so important for me to have Noella
Mhm.
around for all of this, because as we mentioned, me being around it, you being around it as children, that really helped to shape what we've done as adults and our mindsets and the work that we've done. And so even if she never does exactly what I do, no matter what she goes in, communication, branding, those things transfer across every sector and every industry. And so it's really important for me to have her in these at the table, in these meetings, seeing, learning, and understanding how the world works and how business works. So no matter where she is, even if she doesn't do it, she knows it. So she can make more informed decisions, and she's empowered to not be beholden to anyone unless she so chooses to. And I hope that with me breaking those mindset barriers and overcoming that within myself, that she'll just be an adult already having that.
That is so awesome. What like that's what more can you give your children is really teaching them how to fish on their own and giving them the confidence to do that. So that is amazing. So,
Yeah.
what kind of obstacles have you found to be that the most hindering to you as you have kind of progressed on your journey? And then what did you do about that? Did you create any strategies around it that worked for you? How did that play out for you?
So, before I thought it was a lot of things, but as I've finally decided to truly embark on my healing journey intentionally, I see that all of the things really stem from mindset. When in your mind you decide that you have lack, you decide that you don't, you already decide you're not good enough, you already decide that you can't do something, then your body will follow.
Mhm.
And your words will follow, your actions will follow, your decisions will follow, even if you don't realize it.
Yeah.
So I really had to recently, I heard it, but I didn't really see it until I started really digging into those not like the not sexy, not fun part of healing, right? The internet makes it sound like, oh, bubble baths and
Yeah.
glasses of wine and
Right.
like meditation, but it's so much
Mm-hmm.
more than that. So those things are really surface level. The root of the issue are those negative mindsets. And as I'm digging deeper, I see that it's not even just a mindset, these are spirits. Everything
Right.
that is not aligned with God, if it's not peace, if it's not joy, if it's not love, if it's not strength, if it's not power and authority in alignment with the word and God, it is the opposite. Those are those, principalities of spiritual warfare.
That's
Doubt,
right.
fear, those are all spirits. And those things have a chokehold on the humanity, both individually and as a overall community of
Mhm.
people. It's in our media, it's in our TV, it's in our books, it's in our schools. It's even being taught for why you have to go to school to get a job, not go to school to empower you with the skills and the gifts that you have to learn how to make money using those things. That's all
Mhm.
fear-based.
Yeah. And so,
So,
yeah.
me seeing that, recognizing that, and it's not something that you just do once. I have to do it every day.
Mhm.
Every day I have to recognize when my mindset is saying I can't or I won't or I don't have, and then see what I do have, because I have so much more within me and around me than I
Yes.
realize, when in my mind I already have decided it's a
Hmm.
no.
So it's
When
a
you decide,
decision that you're making that says, hey, I'm not going to focus on a mindset of lack. I'm going to focus on a mindset of abundance. I'm going to, like, the scripture says, Philippians 4:8, think on these things, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is, peace and, all of those things,
right?
thinking on things that are going to be beneficial to you. Really, it's just practically beneficial, right? It's not even
Exactly.
like we don't even have to super spiritualize it. It's just being um practically looking at things that are beneficial for you and thinking on those things, because your thoughts become your feelings, become your actions. That's what
Exactly,
I'm getting
and
from the
become your
strategy.
word,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And I think too that people, so the strategies that I use are thought challenging. I learned this in therapy. So
Mm-hmm.
thought challenging and thought diffusion, because those negative mindsets and emotions, we begin to fuse them with our identity. And our
Mm-hmm.
identity
That's so good.
becomes fused with what people might have told us as a child growing up, like what you can't do. What, look, do you know anyone who has done this? Why do you think that you can? You are
Mhm.
not as good as this person, so you can't do it. Instead of, okay, how can we get you the skills? How can we get you the resources in order for you to grow in that area? Because us as humans we're incredible. We can do literally anything we put our minds to. And then once you decide, then you find out what you have within you, and you find out what you need and around you, your resources, in order to get to the vision in your head. You can practice anything, you can learn anything, you can do anything. You just have to decide to. And then you have to take conscious action daily in order to get there. You can't decide I'm going to start a business, get an LLC, and then not touch it for 5 weeks and decide to have a flourishing business. No, you have to, the same way you get up every day, clock in, clock out, you need to give that same attention. You need to give that same dedication to yourself and your own purpose and your own gifts. Because what I learned at the end of the day, that they can bring in a new leader and they don't think that you align, and they can get rid of you and make your life difficult in order to get rid of you.
Yeah.
But nobody can get rid of your purpose but you.
Right. Oh, I love it. Yes. Ooh, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. Okay, so why was it important for you to keep pursuing purpose despite the obstacles that you still face? Because one thing I want to be clear about is that once you, like you mentioned earlier, it's a daily practice, right? But sometimes, let's just be real, it gets really hard. It gets really hard. What are some of the things that you think about or that you do when it gets really hard to keep going and it doesn't look like what you have, what that vision in your head? The manifestation hasn't happened yet. You know, the what it looks like around you doesn't look like what it really is according to the truth of God's word. What keeps you getting up and going back? Because
So
I'm
it's a,
sorry, I didn't mean
it's
to
a,
cut you off right there, but because you mentioned that 5 week period, and I've been there where it's like it has been so hard that I just fell, you know. How do we get up?
so it's I focus on words.
Oh, you're muted. Mhm.
I
I didn't
focus
want to
on
miss any
words
of
a
that good
lot.
stuff.
I'm muted again.
No, you're good now.
Okay. The way I view life, I think that communication is the most important, is the pillar of society and individuals. Everything is communication,
Mhm.
right? You communicate with yourself, you communicate with nature around you. That's why they've even done studies where they'll have two plants, and every day they'll talk positive to one plant and negative to the other plant. And multiple studies have shown the plant you speak positively to will grow and flourish, and the one you speak negatively to will wilt and die. That is, everything is living, everything is breathing, everything is
Yeah.
moving. And the way that we do that is through communication. So the main way we communicate with ourselves and others is through our words. Our words are so powerful. Our words can determine life or death. Death is in the power and life is in the power of the tongue. And you have to choose what you do. And the words start in your mind, the things you think and the things you say. So I had to one of the challenges I have to overcome, I was in an abusive relationship in college. And most abusive relationships, people don't really talk about this. They start verbally. Like the
Mhm.
abuse starts verbally, right? It's verbal, and when the physical isn't happening, the verbal will still happen. So I was talked down on a lot by the person who said that, they loved me. I was torn down every day by this person. And then I would go out into the world and it might be confirmed, right? I remember as a child, the first time I did one of those, what do you want to be when you grow up? So I said I wanted to be the first Black woman president of the United States. My white woman teacher, I was 5, kindergarten, told me to think realistically that there's
Mm,
never been a woman president and there's
hmm.
never been a Black president, and that I should think of things that were realistic that I can be when I grow up. So that's the first time that I really remember someone putting a limiting belief on me. I remember I grew up, my family is artists. A lot of them are amazing, drawers, painters. And I used to draw and paint too. And I remember my brother telling me that my drawings weren't good. You know
Mm.
how the way I used to draw just like Bratz dolls.
Oh, wow.
My drawings look just like how Bratz dolls look. And Bratz dolls are one of the most popular, famous, well,
Yes.
what if I continued on?
Right. Right.
So I stopped drawing. So I just remember times and periods in my life where people told me that I wasn't good enough, couldn't be, whether it was something within myself or the community around me. You know how one of the things they tell a lot of Black boys, because a lot of Black boys want to be basketball players, is how many people in your family are basketball players? Can you really be a basketball? So like those things were said to me too, right? I'm a professionally trained dancer, but I was told that I could not be a professional dancer because of my height and my body shape, right? So
Mm.
instead of me pursuing dance to the fullest thereof, I limited myself because people limited me. And I realized all the things, all these dreams and goals that I have that I didn't do and I don't do and I don't have. And it's because I decided that I couldn't have it because other people's words impacted my belief system.
Hmm.
So I have been working really hard um to reprogram my thinking because it was really negative and it was very limiting. And as I mentioned, it started with my dad with that whole legacy, year-long legacy series. And then I had to continue to do it. So one of the practices that I do that I should have mentioned earlier, every morning I start off my day listening to either morning prayers or listening to spiritual, YouTubers who get on every day and have a word. And that's really that changes the trajectory of my day because you can wake up and thinking of all the things you have to do that you don't want to do.
Right.
That I used to be one of those like Mondays people, and I
Hmm.
couldn't
Hmm.
wait until the weekend. And then the weekend I would kind of waste just having a good time because I knew I had to go back to Monday and I didn't like.
Yeah.
When you can create a life where you're happy every day and you enjoy it every day and you're excited every day, and that's the life that we're actually created to have. But because of society, and it works, right? The corporate structure works for our comfort, right? But the corporate structure doesn't work for our legacies. So how can I then create my own corporate structure in order to make sure that not only am I successful, but everyone around me is successful too? Did I answer your
Wonderful.
question?
Yes. Yes. I think that because the main thing is that you do, and by the way, I share that with you in that the morning prayers, the morning devotion, there's something to be said about how the Bible keeps reiterating that Jesus got up early and spent time with the Father. Like how do you walk out the agenda um of the Father? And this community in this space is probably going to be mostly believers. If we believe that God gave us our purpose, we need to spend time with Him in order to be able to walk that out. And there's something to be said about having that be the first thing that you have on your mind or that you go to in the morning, and really starting your day with that as a strategy, right? Not just This is not just something to do just because it's something that we do, but this is actually a real and true strategy that we put into play in order to be able to receive the word of truth and then get up and do what we need to do. Because it can be difficult to carry on and to push through because we have so many different types of messaging coming in. What we see, what we read, what we hear from loved ones, even who have the best intentions and want to give us, keep us quote unquote safe, but they don't understand or know fully the vision that God has given you, and the purpose on your life. So absolutely, the main thing that I think the most important thing, and really the reason why you were first, is because you tackled that mindset. Because we cannot go anywhere. My pastor says you cannot grow. I'll mess it up. But anyway, basically, he says that you can't grow beyond your thinking. Like, your head goes first. And if we are headed in a direction that is going to be an answer to a problem in the world, because that's what our purpose is. God gave us each an individual answer to a particular problem, to the world. Then we have to go to Him and get instructions on how to do that, and get the motive, not just the motivation, but um encouragement, and just the power and the strength to be able to do that. So that tackling mindset strategy is huge. It's definitely key. And I just want to thank you. I appreciate all of the nuggets that you dropped in on us today, all of the stories that you shared, because we are out here, we're real people doing real work. That's real important, and that's really the bottom line. We want to make sure that people understand that it's possible, and don't feel like you're not capable and like you're somewhere outside of the group. No, we're all real people doing real work. So yeah, you were gonna say something.
Absolutely. One of the other strategies that I had to implement, and I really
Mhm.
encourage anyone who wants to change their life do, is to change. You can't change your circle, but you can change your circle. When I first went and decided to change my life, I still had the same circle. And that circle, even though they loved me, even though they cared about me, to your point, they could only talk to me in their own belief system, in their own mindset system.
Mhm.
And it's a very different mindset to be a successful business owner than it is to be a successful employee. It's different responsibilities, different creativity, different levels of accountability. It's just an entirely different mindset and belief
Yeah.
system. It's a different work ethic, it's a different passion, it's so different. And so I struggled a lot in my first year of business because I was not in community with fellow like-minded people, and all I wanted to do was dream and talk about building and growing my life in alignment with my purpose, not really realizing that's what I was talking about, but that's all I wanted to talk about and think about and strategize about. And my loved ones always had to humble me or bring me
Mm.
back to reality, or like, I don't want to talk about that, can we talk about something else? And most of the something else was talking about other people. What do they say?
Mm.
They say poor people talk about people.
Hmm.
Middle class people talk about politics and current events. And what do wealthy people talk about? They talk about wealth, right?
Hmm.
They talk
Hmm.
about ideas, they talk about
Hmm.
visions and how to
Yeah.
make them a reality. And that's what I was talking about. So my mindset was switching from working class to wealthy class, where my physical surroundings were not that. My physical and my community was not. So I really had to switch my community hard in order to become even like to sustain in this
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
And me changing my community changed what I learned was possible, changed my mindset, and changed my access to growth. Because when I got surrounded by people who were already doing it, trying to do it, my mindset changed. And I went from I probably had 4 clients my first year. When I changed my community, got in my first group coaching program, changed all that, I went from serving 4 clients to within a year serving 65.
Wow.
Yes. And starting my own group coaching program and just doing so many things. So now I've worked with 100 brands within the last 3.5 years. And that's because I changed my mindset and I changed my community.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Like those are two of the most important strategies that you can have. And they're really the foundation of the strategies that you can have. You got to get a hold of even just recognizing that you have some mindsets that are holding you back. And then you've got to get in an environment that's going to nurture the kind of mindset you want. And so I really have to say that those are foundational, and it does not surprise me that you had that kind of growth when you are able to get into those, strategies and really continue to do that. So one last thing, I just want to ask if there is anything that the one last thing that you would impart to anyone who is not only entrepreneurs, but some may still be, still 9 to 5, but still feel like that vision and that purpose, it's there. It's just right at the edge of their fingertips. They can't seem to grasp it. What are some things that you might share with them? And then let us know how we can, connect with you, get in touch with you, work with you, all of those good things.
For sure. So a couple of things. Um, Before the Industrial Revolution and before we moved to living in these huge metropolitan areas and changed to this corporate structure, most people, most families had trades. Most people lived their life in alignment with their purpose. They they created shops and they created, they were artisan, they were artists. They used their skills, they used their gifts, and that's what sustained them and their families. When after the Industrial Revolution and the corporate structure, mass production, we lost that. And we lost that as a society, but we did not lose that as a people. We still have that within us. We still can be that.
Mhm.
And I encourage anyone who feels like they aren't enough, they don't like what they're doing, they feel like they're just doing what their parents told them to do, or they're living life for a paycheck, to really dig deep and think about your talents, to think about your skills, to think about, again, like I mentioned, the things I did as a child that I've been able to turn into a career as an adult, and to tap into that and explore that, because that's the answers to that problem that you might have, and that you don't have to do it alone. In fact, you shouldn't. God, I'm so sorry. The baby closed herself in the bathroom and now she's
Okay.
crying.
You want me to pause it?
And I would also like to say, because I think it's a whole movement of, I can do bad all by myself. I don't need people. I have it all within me, so I don't need others. And that's simply not true. One of the things that I love to point to, if the Son of God himself in human form
Mhm.
needed a team to complete his purpose, why do we think that we don't need a team to complete our purpose? There is no one in history who's been successful who's did it alone. We aren't made to, we aren't
Mhm.
created to. Our purpose is supposed to be in partnership. And if what you can do it alone, you're not really in your purpose, because God did not create any of us to do anything alone. He created all of us to do it in partnership, both
Oh,
with
that's so
him and
good.
with the people who he selected, created, built up
Mhm.
for us to do the work with.
So good, so good. So how can we work with you? Because these are, look, y'all, I'm gonna say, as someone who has worked with Christa, she is a deep, deep well of not just the information you need for marketing and branding, but she brings her spirit, she brings her honesty, she brings real authentic caring and concern for you and your growth in your business. She even brings a little bit of activism. Like, she is not playing about this. Okay, she wants to see you win. And so I would encourage you, if you are struggling with your brand or any of the marketing pieces, there's some foundational things that you need to learn. I would definitely reach out to Christa. So let us know how we can do that, how people can work with you and get to know more about you and what you do.
Absolutely. So, first you can visit my website, Reimagine with Christa. That's Christa, Christ with an A at the end. They did name me after Jesus. My parents, this past. So that's Reimagine with Christa, all one word.com. Also my Instagram is the same name, Reimagine with Christa. And you can go ahead and book the first complimentary consult to learn if we are a good fit. I believe in working with people that I am aligned with and who are aligned with me. I also only really work with people who are building businesses that are mission driven, right? I don't work with people who are just trying to make money and make a quick buck, but people who want to change their communities, change their families, and change their world. So if you're someone who is looking to make a difference with your business, thank you, Neka. Yes, I am here, and I will give you both ways to reimagine your brand and also ways to reimagine your marketing in order to reach your audience and to reach your goals. Also, I will help you reimagine ways to make money because oftentimes we limit ourselves in the ways we can make money in our business. And there's so many ways we can make money. You can monetize anything. So if you're looking to figure out how to increase your monetization, hit up your girl at reimaginewithkrista.com.
Thank you. I love that. Yes, hit up your girl. So thank you, Christa. Thank you, Noella, for being with me today and really helping us to kind of flesh out some of these things that happen when obstacles come in our way. And we're still trying to work out and walk out our purpose. We still want to be resilient and keep going. And just helping the community be able to understand that you are enough, right? You just may need to implement some strategies. So thank you so much for being with us, and I will see you around. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.